One morning, Douglas was taking the goods along the branch line. Up ahead, he spotted Duck and his coaches on a siding. The passengers milled about beside the line, grumbling and fussing. Douglas was intrigued. "Ugh, what are you doing, Duck?" he asked. "Oh, nothing to worry about," Duck stammered. "You'd best be off with—" He was interrupted by a commotion from within the coaches. After a great deal of shouting and banging, the driver, fireman, and guard emerged, disheveled and displeased. "Blasted squirrels!" fumed the driver. "We'll never catch them!" Douglas was in hysterics. He trolled away, leaving Duck quite embarrassed. That night, Douglas was still laughing as he backed into the shed. "Didn't I bring a wee pet back with you, Duck?" "It wasn't my fault," fumed Duck. "That new cleaner didn't close the coach door last night. The poor things probably needed shelter from the cold. I only wish," he went on, blushing, "they had the courtesy to leave before my passengers got on." "A duck and his squirrels, Donny's quackaroo, and Oliver's toad," mused Douglas. "Ach, aye, are we a branch line or a zoo?" The three engines glared at Douglas. "No pets for me, thank you," he boasted. "Take my advice, Duck. Leave yon coaches for a wee while. No unexpected passengers with that goods." Duck, exhausted from the day's ordeal, decided not to retort and went to sleep instead. Over the next few days, Douglas was insufferable. He joked constantly about furry creatures and little pets. "You won't see me delayed with that nonsense," he chortled. One wet and dreary morning, he was delayed. Poor Oliver failed on the points outside the shed, trapping Douglas inside. By the time Donald moved Oliver away, Douglas was very late to fetch his trucks. "No tricks!" he barked, busting into the yard and giving them a shove. Above the usual grumble of the trucks, Douglas thought he heard something. It sounded like tiny voices. His driver began to check along the train. "Leave it!" grumbled Douglas. "We're late enough as it is." The driver reluctantly jumped back into the cab, and Douglas bustled away. Soon he was steaming along the line, determined to make up for lost time. Due to its proximity to the sea, Duck's branch line usually felt the worst of any bad weather. There was a small bump in the line where some of the ballast had shifted from the rain. It was due to be put right, but the engines knew to take caution until it was fixed. Douglas was in such a hurry that he forgot all about it. He charged over it, and the whole train felt the effect. The trucks groaned, but again, Donald swore he heard more voices. Before he could think of anything else, a persistent knocking sound filled the air. The driver looked back. "Bother!" he said, applying the brakes. "One of the van doors is open. That bump probably rattled the latch loose." Douglas was cross. He knew the trouble had to be put right, but now he'd be even later. The driver met the guard of the van with the open door. They inspected it, but found no damage beyond the loose latch. "We best check the goods inside," said the guard. "The way Douglas was banging about, they're likely all over the place." The driver and guard stepped into the van and... "What do you think you're doing?" the guard shouted. Huddled in the van were three young boys looking rather frightened.
Going for a ride?"
said one nervously. "I'll go phone the police," said the driver, noticing the guard going red with anger. Douglas had to stay where he was until the authorities arrived. Because of that, the other engines were held up with their trains. Soon enough, the police arrived. Sir Topham Hatt was with them. "My railway," he began sternly, "is not a playground. Your trespassing could have left you seriously injured. I do not want to see you around my railway unsupervised again. Is that clear?"
"Yes, sir,"
the boys murmured. They were led away by the police, white as ghosts. Soon enough, services resumed, and the engines worked hard to make up for lost time. Douglas didn't see the other engines all day. They were far too busy to bother with him. He hoped for some peace and quiet in the shed, but he wouldn't get it. "I'll tell you one thing," Oliver said to the others. I'd rather be a pet owner than a babysitter. So much for no unexpected passengers on your trucks, laughed Donald. Are we a branch line or a daycare? Never mind them, Douglas, soothed Duck. Douglas was about to apologize when Duck began to giggle. They were only kidding, after all. The shed erupted with howls of laughter. It was a great joke to the others, but Douglas thought they were being very silly indeed.